To our video commentary today on step 1 of retirement planning. I'm really excited about this series because it really, hopefully, will give you greater clarity about actually how retirement planning works, how the retirement planning process can work, how it can really be simplified to a set of steps that can be followed, that can be quantified. If you're like me, I just want a recipe. I just want to know exactly how to do something. And what I like about recipes are you've got the ingredients and you've got the directions, and the final result usually comes out the same way each and every time if I follow the recipe the right way. So it should be the way that, effective and good retirement planning is. And I would say the very first step, I generally recommend people complete the very first step as being quantifying the actual goals that you want to accomplish in retirement. If you think about any kind of a goal, you really don't know if you've accomplished it unless you have that finish line. You don't know when to stop running in a marathon or in a race unless there's a finish line and you hit the tape and then I'm done. I've accomplished it. So it's the same thing with retirement planning. And the first step I would say is quantify the different financial objectives and different financial goals that you want to accomplish in retirement, because otherwise you'll never know whether you're successful, whether you've actually been able to accomplish those things. So as we look through the article, we talk about the fact that you've got certain retirement goals that are somewhat universal and some retirement goals that are very much unique to you, and they're going to be yours only or very uniquely yours. The universal ones generally going to be the ability to continue the same kind of lifestyle or living expenses as you enter a time of life where you may not work, or you're working less, or whatever the case is, or you're not able to work, for health reasons or whatever the case is. So that's kind of universal, but then you look at the uniqueness of goals. Some people are going to have helping kids or grandkids. Some people are going to have travel. Some people are going to have, as many as there are retirees and couples, you're going to have unique goals. But with each of these goals, there is a process that you need to take in order to do this quantification process. So we talk about quantification in several dimensions. So the first dimension is you've got to define how much. It needs to be a dollar amount so that you can know when you've accomplished the goal. So that could be an accumulation goal, or it could be a spending goal. So for example, continuing my living expenses or continuing my lifestyle expenses, the quantification is I want to have, you can fill in your own blank, let's say $5,000 a month in perpetuity, all throughout retirement. So the quantification goal is that $5,000, doing that research, trying to figure out exactly how much is enough. But if I go into retirement without having quantified how much is enough and knowing exactly how much all of my different resources need to come together in order to provide, then I'm on shaky ground because I haven't quantified it. So how much is the first section. The second is by when. So there's a time element to quantification. So there could be certain goals that are like one-time goals. I want $25,000 to replace a car by, you can fill in a particular date. So that gives you a time dimension. By when, or the time dimension could also be for how long do you want a goal to be able to be accomplished. So my $5,000 a month may be for 20 years until the mortgage is paid off. And then at that point, it will be $3,500 a month. Or it could be $5,000 a month all throughout retirement. So you want a time element because all of this quantification and the steps to quantification have to occur in order for you to reverse engineer, have you actually saved enough? And are you going to be able to accomplish all the goals without running out of money? Now, the last dimension of quantification really isn't so much quantification as it is my encouragement to help you to determine the why of your goal. So money is the way that we live out our value system. It's the way that we work out our values. And so each of our goals is representative of an underlying value that's important to us. I think if we can attach the specific goals we have to those underlying values in life, it'll better help us understand how our goals help us to fulfill our life values and express our life values. And finally, it also will help us to identify the core value and to determine that maybe I set a goal here in terms of the amount or the time frame, but when all is said and done, it could be here and I would still fulfill the same value. I would still have the same level of values fulfillment, even though the amount was less, or maybe the time frame was longer, or whatever the case is. So how do you do that? How do you look into the why? Well, I always would recommend that you do the 5 whys, WHY, question asking. And that's an example is shown here. Hey, why would I want to have $5,000 a month to spend during the rest of retirement? And you can follow along in our actual blog so that you can actually see by the 5th why, you're really kind of understanding, why is it important that I do this? Why is it important that I have this? And then you will have a better context for financial decision making and helping you understand how money, how you live in retirement, how you work out your money decisions is helping out you fulfill your overall value system. So that's step 1. That's a critical beginning part to retirement planning. Let's define what the financial goals we want to accomplish in retirement are. We've got to quantify them through dollars and time in order to actually determine when they will be accomplished definitively. And in our next blog article, we'll talk about step 2, which is all about quantifying the financial resources in order to meet all of those goals.